Thanks for getting the recording started, Samir. Thanks. So I was mentioning, Lana, that we will be getting the real world scenarios and the real world happenings being discussed as part of this curriculum. So I'm going to share my screen. Let me know when it's up for you so that I can showcase to you at a high level from manual perspective what all would be getting covered during the course and as a part of this curriculum for this training. It's giving me some issues. Let me try it the other way. All right, I believe the recording has got started again. Thanks, Samir. So we will majorly check upon Lana on the why do we need to have testing in place and what's the importance of testing in SDLC, the kinds of testing or the types of testing, what is the difference between verification and validation, what do we have as quality assurance and control, what do we usually do, and what are the ethics of quality assurance, the bug reporting. We will be looking at the real world tools as well that we use for bug reporting and defect management cycle. So those are the major topics that we would be covering as part of the manual testing. What else we will be doing apart from this activity or these concepts to be learned? We will be doing a project as a dummy project to identify defects, how this agile methodology is going to get implemented, what all major activities any tester would be doing in a real life scenario. So I do have access to a few of the live projects which I will be showcasing you in a real world, how the each and every other IT team member does contribute to the activities that he or she does and what all their major responsibilities are. So you will be getting a glimpse of all the real world activities that happens in the IT industry for that matter. That's the essence of this training. Majorly and mostly the other institutes or the other trainers do talk about the concepts only and that's it. But here you would be getting the real-time exposure to all the activities. Any questions so far?
Not so far, thank you.
All right. Now, moving ahead with the Selenium aspects of it, I might be having the slide covered, but I don't have it handy. But I will showcase it to you in a nutshell. When it comes to Selenium as the automation tool, we will be definitely covering that what all can be automated using the browsers and why do we need automations, okay, how helpful it will be and how different it will be in comparison to manual testing concept that we had learned as a part of the manual testing course that we both will undergo. Then we will check upon the browsers and technologies that are going to be considered for writing the automation scripts. And prior to this, when we move on to the automation scripts, prior to this, we will look at the Selenium IDE, which is the record and playback feature provided by the Selenium developers themselves. Definitely we'll be doing a demo project over here as well so that all the concepts and topics being learned in the automation projects get implemented during the demo project, and then you can post on your questions as well. So thereafter we can move on with your certification and other aspects of it from Seasoft that we have been completed it, and then we will look for the other parts of it, and definitely you will get all the assistance later on as and when required. I will have a detailed slide deck as well that will showcase all these topics that I just wrote over here in detail, so we can retalk or can rediscuss on these topics again. But this is just to clarify any doubts and demystify the things for you, Lana, so that you get the clarity over here. Any questions about the automation topics that are going to get covered, Lena?
Yeah, not so far, thank you.
All right. So, Samir, I believe we can get started with the other topics when it comes to the manual concepts, right?
Sure, you can go ahead.
Great. So let's move on. Let's get it started. Let's get things rolling, Lena. So when it comes to the software testing in particular, there are different definitions that goes around in the market or in the QA world. The most simplest definition for software testing would be that it's just a process that is used to identify the correctness, completeness, and quality of developed computer software. So we are dealing with the computer software quality. We are dealing with the bug-free and a defect-free software getting delivered to the end user, which is rightly being manufactured or rightly being created in the way that it is supposed to work. That's why we use the word correctness, and a completed one. Okay, so we do have different versions. So when it comes to completeness, there is a glitch over here, there is a catch over here. Now when we say that the completed software, the software does get completed in different phases, in different releases, in different cycles for that matter. Okay, let me see. Samir, can I add another machine to this? I wanted to add my other laptop. Okay, so I have another ID. Let me see if I can pull myself through my other official ID so that I can showcase it to Lena that how the real tools look like. Let me log into my other official machine. Give me a moment. Do I need to provide you my other ID, Samir?
You don't have to. You can come with the same name, no problem.
So I need to have the same link.
Yeah,
okay. To have the same link being getting utilized. Okay, give me a moment. Please bear with me. I'll be sharing this PPT with you as well, Lena. So if you want to take your notes, you can do that, or you can refer the PPT that I'm gonna share with you as well. The desktop app is getting downloaded in another machine, so I will continue over here and I will start sharing my other machine as and when it get joined through that account. So when I wanted to mention completeness, as we were talking about completeness, Lena here, I wanted to showcase you that the software is being divided into different releases. Okay, so each and every releases has certain set of features or certain set of specific developed features that are going to get rolled out to the end user at a regular interval of time. So few of the software, the complex one, might take years to be completed. Okay, it might take 2 to 3 years. Few of the other softwares using the agile methodology. Agile is one of the software development methodology wherein we roll out the software in months rather than keeping on get that developed for years and then rolling out the beta or the earlier versions of it to the end users. We do get it rolled out in a very aggressive manner, that does get developed in a very aggressive manner and gets rolled out to the end user in a very faster pace, at a very higher rate of development, and in a nutshell, or in a real good span of time, comparative span of time compared to other methodologies of software development, it does get rolled out. So when we talk about the completeness, whatever we agree upon, that what other features and what all other releases is going to get rolled out to the end user, does get rolled out and does get mentioned, or does get released to the end user or to the business or whosoever is interested in getting the software being developed, to be marked as completed. So completeness is in a wider term, is a complex word. So the different definitions or different aspects would be getting associated over here. But in a nutshell, or to keep it simple, software testing is an ongoing process to make sure that a quality, defect-free software is going to be made available to the end user at the end, and that makes everyone happy. Any questions?
Not so far, thank you.
Great, thanks, Elena. Now, in this process of software testing, we do execute certain applications, certain programs with positive and negative conditions. We as QA, we as tester, has a mentality that we have to break the system before it gets rolled out to the end user, or before that bug gets leaked to the end users in the production environment. We have different environments as well. That also I can show it to you, but that will be just a glimpse for you, not to get you confused once my other machine is presentable over here. So we do have positive and negative scenarios to be checked in relevance to that software that needs to get rolled out for by any mean. That could be through a manual mean, that could be through automation as well. Through automation scripts, we can also conduct these testing with all the positive and negative scenarios to be considered. Now, these all process that we keep on executing does get categorized into specification, functionalities, and performance. Okay, so testing by and large gets categorized as the functional testing or performance testing or NFR testing and so forth, which we'll be seeing later on. Now, the why part. So why software testing? Why do we need it? What do we need it? How do we need it? That we will be talking about as part of this curriculum. But why do we need software testing? That's the most important part that we need to ask everyone. Okay, now when we talk about the software testing, this becomes important because it may cause the mission failures. It may impact on operational performance or reliability issues if not done properly, if not done in the right manner. So any software with whatever intention that is being developed may not be serving the purpose if it is not being tested or it is not being developed the way that it was supposed to be developed. So that's why software testing is so very important and so very critical. Now, the effectiveness of every software, the effectiveness measures would be different for different organizations or different softwares, but the effectiveness of every software testing delivers the quality software product, and it satisfies the user's requirements as well. So whenever the users ask or expect anything to be working in some ways or the other, their expectations needs to get met. So if I have to go and shop on Amazon.com, I do expect that I'll be presented with a shopping cart, with a wish list, with all those features, and that's my least expected expectation that needs to get met by that particular e-commerce website or that mobile application that would be useful and handy for me to make any orders. Now, if the user's requirements or my needs or my expectations are not getting met with that particular software, with that mobile app or with that web app or whatever the case may be, then that is not serving the purpose, and that's what we try to achieve, that's what we try to answer. Is that particular software or that particular app or that particular browser or web-based app is serving the purpose of end user or not? That is why we need software testing. Any question before we go forward, Lena?
Nope, all set.
Great. Now the question is that who should test? Okay, now this is interesting. Now there is different people who are associated. Primarily there are project managers, there are stakeholders, there are sponsors of the project who does get involved, there are financiers of the project, software project who does get involved. But day in and day out, the majority of users who would be working as a part of a project team would be the developers and the testers. So developer has a different mindset, okay, and testers have a different mindset that is going to get depicted in this slide at your screen. Now developers, they understand the system, they understand the requirement that what the end user wants, they do understand the technicalities, they do understand all the other architectural related issues of the system, and that all things are being presented to them as a brainstorming or at the beginning of requirement gathering phase. But they will treat the application very gently. They will not ever try to break down the application. They will have a different mindset while developing the application, okay, and this is, they are very much driven by the deadline that you have to develop one particular module by this time frame. Okay, so they are time bound like everyone else whosoever is working for that particular IT software project. However, at the other hand, the tester, the independent tester, they also learn the system, they know the technicalities, they know all the IT related information related to that particular software that is going to get developed. They also get involved in the brainstorming of the sessions, they become a part of the requirement gathering, and they are exposed to each and every software development phase. But what will they attempt differently from a developer's point of view, that they will try to break the system, they will try to make things go wrong in any possible way that they could. So that's why they do believe and they do consider in negative scenarios, not only the positive ones that the developer tests, but the negative scenarios. So we are one step or maybe 2 or 10 steps ahead of developer or any other guy who can think of different ways. So testers, the quality checkers, the QA team members, they wear different hats at different point of time to make things happen or to make things not happen as well. So they are ways ahead of anyone else's thought process, okay, and they are driven by quality, they are not driven by time, okay. So they make sure that the quality, defect free, complete, correct piece of code or software get deployed and made available to the end user. Any questions here, Lena?
Nope, thank you.
All right, that makes me move to the next slide, which talks about that what part. Okay, so now in an English language we have many interrogative words that I keep talking to most of my trainees. Okay, we have many interrogative words. Can you think of few interrogative?
Hang on one second. You mentioned slides. I'm on your screen sharing where you have the notepad.
Is it? Is my screen not up? Are you still seeing the Selenium notes?
Yeah, I'm only seeing that.
Let me try to reshare. I'm sorry about that.
It's okay.
Samir, is that possible by any chance if you can make me a host? Samir, are you there? Hello. Okay, I have got the presenter. Let me know if my browser is up for you.
Okay, I see it now.
Okay, so let me quickly go through the slides that we covered when it was not being getting shared. So we talked about the software testing, the definition part of it. We talked about the correctness, completeness, and the quality of a software, Lana. We have different categorizations of testing that does fall under specification, functionality, and performance. We talked about the part that why do we need a software testing, because it is important to have a software being tested so it does not have a mission failure or does not impact on an operational performance in negative ways, and the end product, the byproduct that is going to be presented to the end user is a totally reliable product. We talked about the developer and tester mindset as well. I believe this time these pics are being shown to you. So the developer has a mindset of treating the application gently. They are driven by the deadlines, if you heard me last time. However, the testers, they are intended to break the system and they are driven by quality. Okay, so they do wear many hats at different point of time, and they do conduct the test negatively as well to break the system, so that if the system gets break, it can get fixed now during the development itself, so that later on the end product at a later point of time is defect free, is bug free, and is a quality product being getting delivered. The question that I was asking you, that we do have many interrogative sentences or questions in English language. We talked about the how part, we talked about the other aspects of it, but that what part is that what is going to be tested, what is an error, what is a bug in a software, what is a fault or a failure in a software. If we don't understand it properly, then we won't be able to catch that. As a quality testers, as a manual or automation tester, we are supposed to catch defects, we are supposed to catch errors, we are supposed to catch bugs and the faults and failures in the system. So we need to understand what these are before we start catching them. In the meantime, I'll give a try again. To join through my other system as well. Just give me a quick moment. I'm trying to join it through the other system. I think there are few constraints in my company provided laptop, so I won't be able to install that as a desktop app and continue over there, but I will have some other ways of figuring it out and getting it showcased maybe in the next session, Samir. So we might need to connect to get that fixed later on. So continuing over here with you, Lena. So we were talking about that what bugs, what defects, what error are. So in a QA perspective, or the jargons or the very common words that we will be using would be a bug or a fault or a failure. So a person makes an error, okay, which creates a fault. So the development of any software is going to get majorly made by the real-time users or the real-time coders or developers. They do make some error which creates a fault in a software, and that fault is being termed as a failure in operation. That fault being done as an error by a person makes a failure in the operation. operational activity of that software. That's how these three words are interrelated. So if we go by the definitions in the IT world, an error is a human action that produces an incorrect result that results in a fault. Now what a fault is, that's in the second last definition over here. A fault is a state of software that is caused by an error, which is the first one, and the most common heard word that you will be listening very often is a bug. Now the bug that is being defined as the second liner over here is the presence of an error at the time of execution of a software. So at any point of time when you are using a software, or I'm using, or any other end user is using a software, they come across any fault, they come across any unexpected value, they come across any major flaw in the system, that is going to be termed in a layman's language or in a QA language as a bug. So our job as a tester is to catch these bugs. The sooner we catches it, the better it is. The failure is a deviation of a software from its expected results. So how do we conduct the quality checks? We do have certain set of steps or certain set of operations that needs to get done on any application under test. Okay, so we have something called as AUT. AUT is nothing but application under test. So if I'm going to Amazon site, okay, and if I'm doing any set of operations over here like signing in, okay, and I came across with any particular unexpected value or unexpected feature over here, that is going to be termed as a bug or a failure. So deviation of a software from its expected result is going to be, that particular event is going to be termed as failure. So that has failed over there. So we do have possibility that anything could get failed at any moment of time. I will show you. I was trying to upgrade my Windows recently, and then I realized that even at Microsoft help section there was a fault on the specification or on the help section that they provide. I took a snapshot of it. I will show it to you. That was just a spelling mistake. This is not the one. Where did I got that captured? Not sure where I got that captured, but at a Microsoft site as well, I came across a spelling mistake being getting done. That is to me an unexpected value. That is to me is a failure, which can get reported and they will get it corrected. But that is a bug in itself as well. That's a UI bug. That's a user interface bug. That is not a functional one. That is not going to impact majorly any functionality or any operations to be called as failures, but definitely it is not the expected. If there is some error or some spelling mistake on any page that is going to get showcased at the end user, then it is going to impact the image of that particular organization, right? So that becomes a failure as well. So the definition of a failure is the deviation of anything from a software point of view which is not expected. Any questions, concerns, or any confusion at this point of time, Lana?
No, not yet.
All right. Now the who part. Okay, we are covering all the aspects of it. We talked about the what part, we talked about the why part. Now we are talking about the who part. Then who the software tester is. In a simplest way, this tester is anyone who performs testing to find bugs if they exist in a tested application. In a test application, we mean the AUT, the other jargon that stands for application under test. So if you are being asked to test Amazon.com, or I am being asked to test any other mobile app for that matter, then our job as a tester is to find defects or bugs in that. If we are finding it, then well and good. If not, then we have to think over. Now, how these bugs? I think I can access my defect management tool here. Let me see if I can access that so that I can show it right here. I'm just going to showcase you how a bug looks like in a real IT project. Okay, so Lena, this is what I meant when I say that you will be having a real glimpse of the real data or the real projects that are going on in an industry. Now, IT Jira, as you see over here, is a defect tracking tool. Okay, if it's a defect management tool. What all do we have here? We have different projects that are getting captured over here, as well as it has different defects as well. Okay, so if I go to my defect dashboard, okay, so this tool has many things. Okay, it has many entities and it has many tickets to get involved with. What we are mainly going to get involved with is the defect for any project. So okay, defect is one of the entity over here. Okay, we have different defect statuses as well. It's in an open, close, in progress, and many other statuses. It has different priorities as well. Let me find out any defect that might have got reported by me. Here I am. Okay, so let me take some good example. Global. Great. So this is one of the example of a defect here that got identified by any tester. Okay, what it shows all the possible values that this defect is related to a search aspect or a search feature of particular page. We are navigating to a URL and we are not able to search the expected value. This is what it means. Okay, so when we see over here the expected values, we had that term being mentioned. Here we have a failure is a deviation of a software from its expected results. Okay, so we do have some expectations as an outcome for any operation that we do. Now here is the operation that we are going to do, step 1, 2, 3 and so forth. The expected result after carrying out all these steps here, Lana, is that the marketing related content should be shown in the search result to the user who has the ability to watch these results. Okay, if that is not happening, then it's an error. Okay, so here we have a snapshot of that error as well, that the search results are not showcasing the way that it is supposed to showcase. Okay, for this asphalt, the search results are improperly getting shown. This is just a depiction of that unexpected value that is supposed to be mentioned over there. This is just a idea that how the defects get logged, and then it gets worked upon, and then it gets fixed, and then that improvises the quality of that software. So I showcase that how the defects are being getting logged. So when we talk about the software tester, a software tester job is to perform testing to find bugs. Okay, whether we call it a bug or a defect is the same thing. So we find out the defect, we get them logged, we get them fixed for the quality of the software to be maintained. Does that make sense, Selena, to you?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Okay, now we talk about the testing team as well. Okay, now we are talking about the team. We talked about the who part, that who all are involved. Now we talk about the testing team by and large. Okay, so we have different roles that needs to get played by different people associated with any project team who are responsible of their own set of activities. Okay, that gets defined in any IT project. We'll get log off from here. So we have the program managers who are capable and are responsible for planning the execution of any IT project or a software project to make sure that the success of that particular software development is minimizing the risk throughout the lifetime of the project. Now, the lifetime of a project is also being defined. It does get into hypercare. It does get support during all the years that it will become usable, or it will become live to the end users to get utilized. During that tenure of that project life, the program manager is responsible to make sure that it is defect free, it is risk free. He or she is also responsible for writing the product specification, managing the schedule. So we all are time bound, as I already mentioned. So the schedule does play an important and integral part in any software development. Program manager are held responsible for managing this schedule and making the critical decisions and trade-offs. What all can be considerable, what all are negligible during the development of the project, or during the tenure of that project, or during the hypercare at any phase of that project life cycle. Program managers are held responsible for any decisions getting made which is critical for that software at any point of time. Do you get some idea here, Lena? What the project manager does? Great. The QA lead or a coach or a mentor is a head of a team, or to be precise, a QA team, which has a focus upon improvising the QA effectiveness, okay, of that particular IT project. So a QA team does focus on the quality checks that are going to get made on that particular project. They work with each department, or in other words, the other verticals of the project team. They does work with every other representative of each other department to collaborate on the project development or the initiative that needs to get taken for that particular project. They implement the industry's best practices. Okay, every organization has their own set of rules that needs to be followed upon. So they do follow those best practices related to testing the application, whether through manual aspects or through automation aspects, that is being decided by the organization, but they do implement all the possible ways of testing that particular piece of software to streamline the QA department. Okay, so that's what the QA lead does, and he is held responsible, or she is held responsible for the quality delivery of that project, which is going to be a software product. The test analyst or a lead, okay, so he is in line with the QA lead, and he or she is also responsible for the planning, development, and execution of automation test systems. They are also developing fewer automation scripts. Excuse me. They are also doing the manual test execution and planning as well. Okay, and that's how they do the regression test plan. Now, when we say regression test plan, let me show it again to you, that how the regression plan looks like. We have an X-ray plugin in IT Jira, which gives us a good idea that how the plan looks like. Okay. I'm going to showcase a regression suite to you, that how do we conduct the testing. So if I go to my X-ray reports here, X-ray is a plugin in ITGDA as I mentioned before, and if I see all the test plans that are being created for this particular project over here. These are all the different projects that we have gained access for. Here you will be seeing some regression suite plans as well. So what regression testing is, we will be discussing it in details later on. But I'm just trying to connect the dots for you here, Lana, that what all words are being mentioned on these slides does have a actual implementation for the projects that keeps on rolling. Okay, so you see the regression testing plan over here. This test plan, has 213 scenarios, or total rather 216 scenarios, out of which 207 got passed, 3 got failed, or 3 got to-dos, 6 got failed, and we had a 95% success rate as part of this regression plan. Okay, now if I dig deeper into that, okay, and I want to see that what all these 216 scenarios are like, if I open it in the new tab, you will see all the possible test cases that are being drafted by this tester. Okay, so verify that the content author is able or will be able to configure a text detail displayed inside the share pop-up overlay that includes heading, email ID, and so on and so forth. So what we are testing here, the object that we are testing is a pop-up overlay, which is going to get tested upon. The another case that we are testing on a Chrome browser. Okay, we have cross-browser and cross-device testing. So for this project, each and every aspect and functionality and user interface needs to be tested on browsers like Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, MacBook Safari, Edge browser, 4 browsers, and then the same feature is going to get tested upon the real devices as well, which is going to be iPhone, iPad, and Android device. Okay, so when we say that the browser that are in consideration for this particular test case is a Chrome browser, and what we are going to test, we are going to verify or validate that the content author is able to configure the download all CTA button. CTA button is a call to action button, or like any other button. Like we have a search button over here, this could be called as a CTA button in a technical language. So these all tests, okay, around 200 plus tests got carried out as a part of the regression cycle, as a part of a regression suite here, excuse me, which makes sure that the quality of the project or that particular feature or that particular release is intact and there is no defect leaks going to happen. That's the job of a test lead or a QA manager, that they are responsible for planning this testing. They're responsible for developing any automation script if automation is under scope for that particular software project, and they are planning for the manual activities to be carried out during a stipulated time frame for that particular quality checks to be made on their software. Do you get that, Lana?
Yes.
I would encourage you to have questions to make it more interactive and more interesting. You can think of any question. I will pause for a while.
I just don't have questions in the introductory part. I think I'll have more questions when we get into more of the technical information.
Sure. So we have already started talking about the concepts that are going to get involved in the testing phase. Lana, if you are expecting this class to be only the introductory phase, then I have got the topics being introduced to you. I'll be sharing all these details with you as well, or Samil will be doing that on my behalf, and we can get things rolling. So how much time did you have for today fixed for this session at present, Lana? I'm sorry for being here almost an hour.
Can do another half hour.
Okay, no problem. So we will keep things rolling, but the introductory part is over and we are diving deep into the concepts of software testing now. So please don't hesitate in shooting any question. Don't be even thinking about if that's gonna be, that question is gonna be a silly one. Okay, you can shoot out anything or anything under the sun to be.
Yeah, since this is all new to me, I just have to get more used to seeing what you're showing, and then in the future I would have questions. But right now, it's more like I'm seeing it for the first time, so I can't think of questions right away.
Got it. No problem. You take your own time, but please do not hesitate in clarifying your doubt, asking any questions, so that I also get an impression that you are following upon on the things, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Great. Okay, so speaking of the other responsibility that any test lead would be having would be the target test items to be evaluated by the test efforts. We have to define the appropriate test required for any associated test data, gathering and managing the test data, evaluating the outcome of each test cycle. Okay, so evaluating the outcome means that how much percentage, how good the quality of that particular build is. We have different builds being rolled out at different point of time, so that build also needs to be quality tested as well. Now, the roles and the responsibility of a test engineer or a QA like you and me are, we have to write and execute the cases. I already showed you the test cases. The different organizations follow different pattern, but by and large, they all follow the similar kind of pattern, where we have the test case ID, the summary of that particular test case, the description, detailed one of that particular test case, what is the steps that need to carry out for that test case to be executed on any browser or any app, and what will be the expected result out of that particular test case. Okay, so if I go to my Excel app, have you started using Windows 11, Lena?
Have I started using Windows?
Windows 11, the recent one.
Oh, I'm not sure. I actually ordered a new laptop. My laptop was really slow, so I'm going to get a new laptop later today, and I'll make sure to install Windows 11.
Great. This is kind of different. I recently started using it, so I'm liking it. I like the edges on the corners. They are all round edges, if you can notice. Earlier,
that's nice.
All the other corners. So this is really likable. A change. This machine is belongs to my wife. That's deep. So that's her ID that I keep on using. She allows me to use that.
Okay.
Okay. So any typical test case scripts or scenarios would be in the similar pattern. We have a test case ID, we have a test summary, we have test description, we have steps for that test to be carried out, we have expected values, and then we have the actual ones. And if the actual matches the expected, it's the result is gonna be pass or a fail if the actual is not what is being expected. Okay, so test case ID could be anything. Test summary is a brief description, one-liner. Then we have description, that what the test is going to achieve. We have different steps. Log in, provide username, provide password, click on login. These are what is being expected is that login page would appear actual is login page appear, so it's a pass. That's how the test case is supposed to be written. Okay, so I'll be giving you exercises once we cover it in detail for any particular sample app. so that you get a good grip or grasp over this subject when it comes to writing test cases. All right, Lana?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so a test engineer is responsible for determining the best values, executing test cases, writing test cases. We just saw how to write the test cases. He or she is responsible for determining the best way to the test can be performed so that he or she can achieve 100% test coverage of all the components. So each and every component has a description being associated with it. Once that description is being read and being understood by the tester, he or she starts writing test casing, making sure that everything that is being described as part of the functionality of that particular component is being covered so that we have achieved 100% coverage and nothing is being left out.
Mm-hmm.
Now we'll talk about the SDLC, which is the software development life cycle. Or what I would suggest is that we can take this is gonna be the important when we can talk about this software testing life cycle in detail later on when we again gonna meet up, because it will be otherwise too much. I can go speaking without a break for hours, but that should get grasped at your end as well. So what do you think? I mean, is that too much or do you want to continue?
Yeah, maybe we could do the SDLC another time. It's a pretty big topic. Samir sent me an email with information about it, and it was quite a large document, so maybe save that for Friday.
Definitely we can.
Anything else that you could tell me about the writing test cases?
Sure. So I will show you that how the cases get written in the tool itself. So you see the type over here, it's a test. It's a short for test. Okay, it was being written. Okay, we can add steps to this test steps. These all are the steps, number 1, 2, and all. These all are the steps of a test case. We have the header of a tester. We have a description of this test case, what this test does. Okay, this is the summary of the test case. This is the description. The way that this project goes on is that they have the same description and summary, but it might differ. It needs to be different. A test has a status ranging from opening to a closed one, and in an execution one as well. It has a priority, a label being attached to which component or which particular project it belongs to. So this project is being the software download MVP2. MVP is the multi-vinyl product. That is one other terminology being associated with the agile project. So this project has this test case being associated, written by this particular tester and getting executed. We have all the created and updated and resolved date for this test case, when it got created in the month of September, when it got updated or executed, and after 3 weeks later on it got executed and it got resolved and then it got closed. What all the tester did, he or she logged into the application on a particular page. They add on one particular icon, which was a plus icon. Okay, they drag and drop it. They search for a particular keyword in the component. They got that search. They click on that particular search criteria on that component, and then they verified or validated that the user whosoever has logged in into that application is able to configure the text detail displayed or not able to do that. This execution of this aspect needs to get done in the real world scenario. So there will be a different URL that the user needs to get logged in, and then he or she has to perform all these steps on that particular application to make sure that the expected value is being returned or not. If it is a return, then definitely it's a pass. If it is not being returned, then it's going to be fail. So the particular test case needs to be executed. If you see over here, it's in green color being termed as pass. Had it been not, I will show you that how it gets executed. Had it been that the expected value, as I showed, okay, these expected value are not meeting the actual value while carrying out that particular step, then the tester can mark it as fail by clicking on this red button over which says fail, that this test case has failed. Now failing a test case is one aspect of it. When a test case is being failed, that means, that signifies that that particular functionality is not working as expected. Now what can you think the other action should be?
You have to try the test case again after fixing the bug.
True, you're very right. So, but to get that defect or that bug fixed, we have to raise it, right? So what we can do, this tool IT Jira itself provides us all the details. Okay, it provides us that how we can raise a defect here itself. Okay, so I can click on this ellipse here.
So where you have action, that's where you write what you need to do?
That's right. So after failing a test case, we have to raise a defect so that it gains attention of everyone in the project team or the developer, right? So the developer needs to know that this failed test case is failing and we have logged a defect. So this is how we log a defect. We click on this plus icon in this tool, particularly here. This is the defect. I will mention that the login to application is not successful at all. Okay, I will provide all the details that when I am accessing, when user is accessing, excuse me, okay, I'm back. So I will mention the description over here when the user is accessing the URL www.amazon.com. It is experienced that or rather 500 error pops up. Okay, so that's the error. It's just an arbitrary one. I'm just making it up. Okay, I have to create a severity of that fact that it's a major one because the user cannot continue. So it could be a critical as well. Okay, and I am making sure that as per the SLAs, this defect needs to get fixed within a day. So if I'm raising it on today being 1st of November, it should get fixed by 2nd of November. To which sprint it belongs to of that project life cycle. So if it is belonging to sprint 14, I need to mention it because that's the actual phase of development for this particular project. Okay, the priority is going to be urgent for this defect as well because it's throwing 400 error. I will create a snapshot, okay, and I will attach that snapshot so that everyone has an understanding by looking at it that where that bugs is going to appear. Okay, I'm going to mention the steps to reproduce as well. So step 1 would be login to URL being getting mentioned. Step 2 would be perform any action or whatever the user wants to do. Okay, expected result. This is in line with our what the test case talks about. User should be able to view the page, however the actual result is user is not able to view the page. It's a functional defect. So we have different categories of defect as well. It could be functional, performance related, the page is loading more than expected time frame, the security issue, anything. Okay, so if this is going to be a functional one as a categorization. The environment that we observed, it is in a Q environment, not in prod, not in stage. It relates to which story number, or we have different stories, we have different requirements as well. So which requirement does it refer to, and so and so, and then I will hit create button and it will create a ticket, and that ticket needs to get assigned. I am going to cancel it because I don't want to create it in the real tool. But this is how you raise a defect after failing a test case, and that defect particularly is going to get assigned to any developer who is going to work it, and then it gets fixed as you rightly called out, Lana. So the defect is going to get fixed upon, then we are going to retest it, and then we can rerun this test case to make it passed after the fix is being provided. So you now got to know that how the test case is being written, executed. If it is going to fail, then how to raise a defect. If it's going to pass, then how to get things rolling. So this is how the test execution in the real world happens.
Okay, so this IT Jira is something that actual companies use to perform this manual.
IT Jira is an open source tool. Okay, it is being provided by Epsilon. Okay, so however, the different plugins that I showed across and the different ways of getting it done, we have. So I was talking about the releases, right? The releases of a software. So when we talked about I will show you. This is what I wanted to show you and wanted to log into my other machine, which I wasn't able to do there. Just a moment. So when we talk about the completeness, you remember when I was mentioning that what a complete software is, as I was mentioning, there are different releases. So I will show you that how these releases are going to get captured or going to get shown. Excuse me. So you see over here under the left hand pane, I do have something called as releases. Now these are the releases for any project. Okay, so a project is being defined into different releases. So under what is it? Under unreleased phase. Okay, is the release in progress? When would be the start and end days of that particular release? Everything gets shown over here. The other way to find it out would be in. I will show you that how the projects get managed in an IT world. You might have seen it before, or you might refer any other channel available online. But this is Power BI and EasyBI reportings that is being getting utilized big time in any IT projects, and this is a glimpse of how the EasyBI would report. Okay, so we have different projects in my left hand pane over here. Okay, so if I go to any particular project, these are the fixed versions. I will try to confine myself to one particular project. This might look confusing to you because I deal with it day in and day out. So I'm trying to make things simpler for you to get understood. These all are the different projects, okay, which are inline, which are unreleased. Okay, if I go to any release that is already being rolled out to the end user. Okay, so all these released softwares are being already made available for the end users to be utilized. Now what does this mean? These are complete. Okay, just give me a quick moment. I need to do that. All right. So when we say the complete software, we mean that all the releases are being made, it is made available to the end users, and it is being rolled out to the end user. Okay, so we do manage releases here as well. Okay, so the releases got managed. So you see over here released and unreleased versions of any project. and I will show you that how the project looks like. Okay, these all are the released versions of the software, and these all are the unreleased. So if I go to any unreleased version of the software, it gives me a complete idea. Okay, I will go to the main sections over here. These are the defect summary, defect trend. Okay, how the defects are going to be identified for this particular project. Okay, we have 28 open defects at present. Okay, and as on today, on November 1st of 2021, and these all defects. Okay, if I drill through all these 28 defects, there will be many major, medium, or higher priority issues as well. Okay, and these all needs to get addressed, as you rightly called out, Lena, before the software is going to get rolled up or going to go live. Okay, now other than that,
yeah, so I think like if you have a big topic, we should get into that, you know, on Friday. I think
we can do that, yeah, definitely. But I just wanted to show you that all these, true, you're right, Lena. So what I wanted to show you that everything that is being mentioned over here is related to the real world scenario, and that's what I'm going to bridge the gap and connect the dots so that you get a bigger picture known to you, so that when you land up at the end of the day doing these activities, these are not something unknown to you later on.
Okay, great, thank you.
So I think we can wind it up for the day. At present, we will meet again. Let me know, or Samir know about your availability, so that we can get things rolling again for you.
Yep, and since Samir recorded the session, he'll probably email me a copy so I can review.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay, good. Well, thank you so much. I'll see you on Friday.
Sure. I'll wait for that.